species of animal, because like for lions, it so happens that trophy hunting can be very well and sustainably done because of the social organization of lions, if it's done responsibly. Because typically the lions that hunters want for a trophy are the really old, big, black-maned males, which typically are old enough that they're no longer fit enough to hold a pride down. So when you kill an old male lion, it has a very isolated impact, right? It's not affecting the whole social organization. When you kill younger or like stronger, more fit males, there's a problem because I don't know how much you guys know, and one of you is going to tell us more about this, but like when a male who's holding a pride is killed, when a new male comes in, he kills off all of the young to bring the females into heat, into estrus, and then mates with them. So you sort of like lose an entire generation if you kill off a male that's holding a pride.
Lions are induced ovulators, right?
Pardon?
Are lions induced ovulators?
Yes. Yeah. So again, like this is a way where if hunting's done properly, it can bring in a huge amount of income for an area that's not, it doesn't necessarily have a huge impact on the wildlife populations if it's managed well. Those are like major caveats, right?
So if you're killing an older lion, is that lion to the point where it's no longer able to breed?
Yeah. So not it's able to breed, but it's not fit enough to be able to maintain, because typically what happens is, male lions, if they're not holding a pride, will go off in coalitions of like maybe one or two or three, usually siblings, or they'll be off on their own, getting strong enough to be able to fight their way in and take out a territorial male. And then again, like brings the women into estrus, or the females into estrus. But a lot of times, if a male lion is strong enough, if he's getting old enough, he will just like get chased off. Like if a coalition of like two younger males comes in, and the older male's just like, no way, man, and he'll just like run off, lose possession, or like lose his control of that social group, and then be off on his own. So those older males who have like survived that takeover process, or maybe it's a male that's never become territorial. And this is why like it's really important to be really tied to a particular landscape as a hunting company, because pretty much like the social organization, which are the territorial males. So part of your job as a hunting guide is to manage your game controlled area well, because it's in your own best interests, right? Okay, game controlled area. Conservation. So we got two types of protected areas left. Conservation area. The only conservation area in Tanzania is the NCA. It's a high importance wildlife habitat which allows human habitation and certain livelihood practices that are deemed compatible with wildlife. And it has its own special administrative unit in Arusha that makes decisions. And that includes stakeholders from the community that lives in the NCA and conservation administrators. So the NCA is its own special beast, and you'll probably hear about this later as we're traveling through that area, but it has a lot of problems because historically it operated quite well, but as human populations grow, right, and if you have certain families that are allowed to live in the NCA and they have kids and their kids have cattle and that multiplication happens, sort of getting to a point now where the human footprint is really difficult to manage with an area that's really important to the Serengeti ecosystem. So that's a pretty high conflict area right now. And then the last one is a national park. And a national park is like what you think of in the US. It's fortress conservation. It is high importance wildlife area that has the highest level of protection, only non-consumptive tourism with very strict regulations. And it's set aside because of a particular unique scientific or historical importance. So when national parks are created, and they have, like, in the last 20 years, there have been a few small national parks created in Tanzania. The people who were living in those areas were forcibly resettled, right? Just like happened in North America. Tanzania actually historically has done a really good job of setting and like proactively trying to set aside land for conservation use. Of these 5 different types of conservation area, about a third of all of the land in Tanzania has one of these designations of protection on it, which is pretty massive. The critical question then becomes, like, again, how do you manage that? And what does that look like? Especially in areas where multiple uses are allowed. How do you get all of the stakeholders involved? Okay. There's one type of protected area I forgot to talk about. Wildlife Management Area. WMA. It is a brand new type of conservation area that was created in 1998 by the government, and basically it was an attempt by the government to allow villages that lived, that had locations that were adjacent to other types of protected areas that had wildlife, right, particularly national parks, to allow them a method, if they want to conserve their own land, to create their own conservation area. And so villages can band together and establish these wildlife management areas, and they get to decide what's allowed, how they are administered. And the idea is that the benefits from that wildlife management area come more directly back to the community because they've set it up. The reality is the administration in getting those set up is really difficult. And so the only wildlife management areas that have been set up in Tanzania have been set up with the help of major international NGOs who sort of saw this as like a good, like, win-win situation. But again, it gives like a foreign organization power and leverage to be involved in negotiating this relationship. And some of them are managed pretty well, and some of them are managed not so well. But the challenge is with the